We live.
We live.
I don't hold on. I don't see it yet.
Hold on.
I pushed it.
Push.
We are live. Oh, hold on. Okay, so now I see us on Insta.
It's live now. It was delayed.
I don't see this on YouTube.
Yeah, we are. I can see.
Okay, I don't see it. Hold on.
You don't see us?
I see it's on TikTok though. Tit for tat. I mean,
We
oh,
are on TikTok. You don't
I
see
mean
us
not
on
TikTok, but I don't see. Oh yeah, we are. Okay, yeah, we Gucci. We Gucci. We
Yay.
Gucci. We out. We outside, but we inside.
Are we inside all weekend? What's going on Saturday? That's my one little day to do something, and I wanted to do a day party. My best friend, she texted me. She said she got a babysitter for Saturday. I'm like, girl, okay, I'll see what I can find for us to get into.
I'm going to the wine festival, Linganore, with the fellas.
What is
We
it?
outside.
Linganore Wine Festival.
Linganore wine joint,
Where's that at?
like Upper Maryland,
Oh,
Mount Airy, Maryland.
it's a wine festival.
Yeah,
That
it's
don't
big.
sound.
It sells out every year.
It sounds like it's gonna be like a lot of people, like a lot, and not
It
like
will.
a contained area.
No, it's a big area. It's spread out. It's outside.
What if it rains?
It's not going to.
I thought it was calling for rain this weekend.
No, I don't know what news thing you're looking at, but no,
Are you sure?
I'm
Cloud.
pretty sure.
Oh, it's supposed to rain tomorrow and Thursday, and there's a chance
Yes.
of rain on one of these days. I could have swore I saw that.
No, nope, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Nixon 6.
Is there anything else to do on Saturday? Because I'm not going all the way up to.
Well, you weren't going to be able to anyway because it's sold out. But there's a ton of things to do in DC.
Like what?
Come on, we the day party capital of the world. Come on, man, stop.
I know, but where? I can't just go to
Saturday-
any day party.
Saturday at the Navy Yard, Grandiose is having an all-white party.
All white joint. Yup.
What's grandiose?
It don't matter. It's an all white party. Don't worry
Is
about
it-
who it is.
Is it what kind of crowd is it?
Oh, your age.
It's all right.
You know what? You've been real nasty with me today. Okay.
I'm not being that.
Okay. Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate it so much. Anyway, are we ready to get started, Knicks fan?
Tip for tat. Nixon 6.
Tiffany, is your husband a Knicks fan also?
Yes.
Yes.
Goddamn right he is. He's from Queens.
Okay. What is it? So can I assume that all people from New York are Knicks fans?
No.
No. Okay. So where are you from that you will be from New York, but you're not a Knicks fan?
You could be from New York and be a Brooklyn Nets fan.
Oh, okay.
You might be from Brooklyn. You might, you know what I mean? So there is a split crowd in New York. Like, if you're a Yankees fan, you're not a Mets fan,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the fucked up part about me is I'm from Queens. I should be a Mets fan, but I'm a Yankees fan. Yankees, Knicks, Giants. On the other side is Mets, Nets, Jets.
It's a lot of it's going on in New York.
That part.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to keep up with that, but shout out to the Knicks fans. Okay. And
Knicks and Knicks.
it's the Knicks and Pacers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched the Knicks play this year, so I'll have to check out one of the games in the series.
That's a shame, ball player.
They play. Hold up, they got some games coming on in the next few days, right? If they play tonight, then the next
Day
one's
one tomorrow.
Oh, I thought it was today.
No, Indiana and Minnesota and what's it called?
West
And
Coast.
OKC play today.
Finals are today.
Yeah,
What time that game start? We gotta be off here by then.
it starts now.
Starts now.
I told you the game was on.
On
You had-
East Coast time, dang. It's not even that late. Okay, what's the score real quick before we get started?
It ain't started yet. It's
I
about
thought
to
you said
start.
the game's on.
It's about to start.
Okay, the game's about to go. Okay, the game's about to start. Anyway, hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Tit for Tat podcast. My name is Carolyn. I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Jay Moore, and I'm the tit for tat. That's my co-host, Carolyn, because she is the tit, and she don't like to admit to it. That's my homegirl, Tiffany. She on this cast podcast with us, casting. We're missing our other homeboy, Eddie, but that's okay, because we tick in for tat tonight.
Are you going to say that all throughout the podcast?
Maybe, I don't know yet.
Knicks in 6, in case y'all didn't know, Jay's going for the Knicks. Anyway, tonight's topic, I'm really excited about that because I've seen a lot of things and it's got my blood boiling. The real cost of dating high value men. We definitely have to get into, and we've defined high value men a couple of times, but in case someone's watching that hasn't tuned into a show where we talked about that, definitely want to start out with what is a high value man. And even today, Jay, on your post, you were talking about, okay, never mind. Let me segue into that yet. Before we get started, because a lot of women say they want a high value man, but I think that we as women don't necessarily consider what all that comes with, especially if you don't have any experience with quote unquote high value men. We're going to get into what that actually means. And
high value men drink high value water.
Okay. So, Jay, you're on here representing for the men tonight. What do you, from a man's perspective, consider to be a high value man? I don't know that word. We don't really like it, but like for purposes of this conversation, we're going to use it. But what do you consider to be a high value man?
A high value man is a man that has ambition, discipline, integrity, goals, respect. And the reason why I haven't said anything about financial is because if a man has these things, he's going to be rich in many different ways. He's going to be wealthy. He's going to be well off financially anyway. Right? Ambition, right? He has a compassion. He has a passion. He's got things that are glaring to the average person that it makes sometimes, depending upon a person, it makes them feel less than. Or if it's somebody that, and I don't want to use the word alpha because even that phrase is getting confused, alpha man. But a man that when he comes into the room, you feel his presence. There's a presence about him. And it's not, to certain people, it's not off-putting. It's an attraction. He's got good energy. These type of men are the type of men who consistently will attract the opposite sex, but there is a cost.
Okay, we're going to get into the cost for sure.
Yeah.
I want to pass it to Tiffany. Do you agree with Jay as far as what a high value man is? Do you have some things you would like to add? What say you?
For me, I think a high value man, I do agree with a lot of what he said. For me, it's going to be a high level of maturity, integrity, respect. I think a high value man acts in a certain way, meaning it's like do unto others as you would have do unto you. So you're not going to act out of pocket or in any type of way that would make you look less than, from that perspective. So for me, I think it has nothing to do with finances, but it's all about the character of a person.
I would agree with that. Character is certainly important. I would agree with all of the characteristics that you guys named. I would also just throw in there servitude. Like I really think that a high value man is one who is constantly looking to serve others, to help make others' lives better. So it kind of naturally puts himself into that leadership role, which a lot of people I don't think understand that leadership is really about service. So I think that a high value man definitely would possess a spirit of service to others, along with the things that you guys said. Now, none of us mentioned finances, but we all know that society basically deems high value men who are at a certain place financially. Would you guys agree with that?
I think society looks at the product of what we just described.
Can you go in a little bit more detail about what you mean by that?
Everything that pretty much what we all describe, that man is usually financially well off.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the time, but usually is. Or makes a good living. Can support himself and a family.
I would not disagree with that statement at all.
And that's why I think society sees, and that's what I mean by looking at the byproduct of this person that we describe. Because if you take all those things and you put it in a person, this person is gonna do good in society. And particularly financially.
Do you feel from a man's perspective that what most women value as far as all of those things mentioned are concerned is the financials? Or do you feel like there's an overwhelming majority of value placed in that area compared to the other areas?
I think the concentration is on the financial because we live in a very selfish society. What can you do for me? Right? And this is where it gets trippy. Women want all these things. And especially, like I've heard women come out their mouth and be like, yeah. And I'm talking about 20, 30-year-olds talking about, yeah, so you're a man, how much you expect him to make? I've heard 200,000, 300,000, 500,000. Shorty, what planet are y'all living on? Are there men walking around just down the street making $500,000 regularly? Like it's rolling off the tongue like the statistics don't already say 0.00001% of all men make that much money. Where are y'all meeting these men? What are we looking at right now? And so I think there's a focus on the money and we sure have that, but understand what that comes with. Any man at that level making that sort of money, there's a structure in place. There's a way he looks at things. There's a time constraint. And that's the part I really don't think there's an understanding. You start making real money, it took a lot to start doing that, and it's going to take even more to maintain that.
I would agree.
Right? Somebody said a joke the other day, like, it's a dude, it's like there was a story about a dude who had like 3 different women messing around, this, that, and third, and a woman asked, what type of man has this type of time?
Mm-hmm.
A broke nigga.
Okay.
He ain't got nothing else to do.
That's true.
I barely have time to sleep because I'm trying to get to a certain level, and maintain or get to and maintain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I barely get sleep as it is, much less have the time to entertain 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You bugging.
I would agree with that, and I certainly have. I remember when I first started dating someone who was high value. That's one of the first lessons he taught me. Like he was like, look, because I was complaining about that because I had been in a relationship where a lot more time was had for me, you know, and to do things and whatnot. And so when I started dating him, I was like, bro, like, when are we gonna spend time together, hang out or whatever? And he told me, he said, look, he was like a broke a wealthy man has no time and a broke man has all the time or something like that. Basically, like if you're out here doing things, you know, being ambitious, working, maintaining, as Jay said, at a certain level of success, then you don't have the time to spend that someone who is, you know, just going through life or maybe working a regular job. And there's nothing wrong with working a regular job, but you're going to have more time if you're doing that than as someone who is like a little bit further ahead as far as in their career or their, you know, income level. So,
and if he got money and he got time, he's probably scamming.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's a whole other topic, but
that's a whole another topic. So one of the first things that I don't think that women realize, and maybe because like I think social media has really swayed a lot of thinking for women. Of course, there's this image of what a high value man is. He's all these wonderful things and he has money. But I think that is not realistic as far as I think women get in their mind a picture of he has to be all these good qualities and he has to have this good character, but he's also going to have all this money so we can take trips and do all these wonderful things and have all these experiences and whatnot. And I think that's how women look at it, not really knowing that that's not what's going to be happening if you're dating someone that's truly high value. So I think that's the first cost that you have to recognize. If you want a high value man, then one of the things is you're going to have to sacrifice is the amount of time you get to spend with them. They're not going to have a lot of time to spend with you and do the things that you like to do. If they're, you know, serious or intentional about dealing with you or being with you, they will carve out time when they can. You know, they'll be intentional about spending time. It just won't be, at least in my experience, it's not anything like consistent. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, you can't be real spontaneous dealing with a high value man because it's just like, when are you gonna have time to go away for a couple of days? Or you can't. They can't really move like that. Even if they're the boss, they still got to have stuff in place. You know, they can't. They still got to make sure things are good before they go do whatever they want to do. So
definitely,
that's one of the biggest things that you're gonna have to sacrifice quality time. And so if you're a person who values quality time, like that's one of your love languages, like it is mine, you might have a hard time with that, as I did. It took me, I took a period of adjustment for me personally to be okay with the not getting the amount of quality time that I wanted in the relationship. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things. Also, I feel like if we're talking about just in terms of income, and I do want to talk about the Diddy Cassie situation for a minute because this is a situation where, I mean, I think now people's opinion of Diddy has probably changed significantly, but I think prior to all this happening, because I'll be honest, I don't follow a lot of celebrities on social media, but Diddy was one that I did actually follow. I felt like I had a lot of respect for Diddy for just being able to get to that level of success. We talk about a billionaire as a black man. That's, to me, is just like insanely amazing. So I've been a fan of Diddy for that. I also actually so I didn't go to a Diddy party. Let me just put that out there, because when I say I party with Diddy, then people be like, hold on, you went to a Diddy party? But it wasn't like that. So for my 21st birthday, Diddy and Bad Boy were doing a show in Ohio, and my friends took me. And then afterwards, we were invited to the after party, which was actually very normal. Like, it really was. It was just normal. It was real chill. We were just kind of hanging out, talking, having some drinks or whatever. And I remember specifically, I said, it's my birthday. You got to take a picture with me because, you're Diddy or whatever. And so he was like, he was so nice. He was like, I would love to. However, I did that one time and got sued or got some type of lawsuit against me, so I can't take pictures in hotels anymore. But he said, you know, he gave me a hug and he said he got us some like bad boy gear and he signed mine, you know, happy birthday, Carolyn, love Diddy or some shit like that. And I just was, it was like the coolest thing at the time for me. So I've always had a lot of respect for Diddy. And even when stuff first came out with Cassie, before the video came out, I was still like trying to like be like, well, let's see what happens. I didn't rush to be like, you know, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt as far as whatever allegations were happening against him. But like once the video came out, that was it for me. It was unfollow immediately because I couldn't unsee that. And unfortunately, like I just can't get behind that aspect of it. But so I think people's opinion of Diddy has probably changed from, you know, before all this happened to now. But let's talk about that high value, that high status level that he's at, right? Because honestly, and this is really bothering me, I saw so many comments from men that were very disrespectful as far as Cassie was concerned. And most of them tied their disrespectful comments into the fact that she wanted a certain lifestyle, right? She enjoyed the lifestyle, and that's why she stayed and endured whatever it is that she endured. And I was very offended by that. And I was trying to get out of it from an emotional standpoint and just think about it from the standpoint of like this particular topic. What comes into dating a man of such a high status? First of all, if you're a young, you know, let's get into the fact that like these men of like high status or like high income bracket, even if we're not talking about character and everything, let's just say we're talking about money. Because we know some men have money, but they don't have good character. They don't have good morals. They don't have good values. They don't have those other good qualities. So to us, they might not be considered high value, but to other people, simply because they have a certain financial status, that makes them high value. Would you guys agree with that?
Right.
Okay. So then when you're dealing with a man like that as a woman, there are some costs you're going to have to pay as well. And so I think what I have, I guess my question to you guys is, and this is your personal opinions, do you think that Cassie stayed for the lifestyle, the perks of being able to live that billionaire life?
I think there's a multitude of things that are going on. She's young. She's trying to figure out who she is. She has goals of a 10-year contract of producing albums. She has career goals. She has all different types of things that are going on. And she's trying to find herself. She's trying to figure it out. I know in my 20s, trying to figure it out. May have been in a relationship, shouldn't have been in, but your self-esteem, all these different things are playing a factor in maybe her decision-making or non-decision-making of what should I do in this situation. So I don't think it was just about her specifically wanting to be in the lifestyle. That may have played a factor, but I think it's all these things that are going on and happening as she's maturing. And maybe it took her 10 years to mature and wake up in one day and be like, holy hell, what am I doing? Let me get out of this. So that's what I think is a combination of a lot of things. Self-esteem, all sorts of
there's
things.
Definitely that power dynamic there though, right? Because like you said, she's a young girl. She's trying to make it in her career. And he's this already very well-known, very established person in the industry, right? And so I would imagine that from that perspective, from her perspective of being young and as to your point, having those goals, that would certainly influence your decision making in terms of even just getting involved in off top, right? Like you're 19, 20 years old, you know. Jay, you look like you want to say something.
I think that was the bonus. I think that's not why she's entangled and wrapped up with him. I think he's the ultimate narcissist that understood and pulled at certain things that she wanted to be or wanted to do. The type of hold he has on her is real. A lot of it's mental, and
Mm-hmm.
and he was able to tie her up mentally through fantasy, through uh, self esteem. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm reading a lot about the case and some of the stuff that was going on, and that she wanted to please him and do whatever he wanted, especially with these freak offs. Now, how
Mm-hmm.
do you get a woman to that level? How do you get a woman to really feed into you and your ego and what you want, right? You got to be able to feed into her, or at least pull at certain things that she wanted, right? And that's not the thing. That's the sort of thing that's not going to come out in. That's not the sort of thing that's going to come out in the actual case itself. But if we really dug into the background of the relationship, she was very impressionable. He he took advantage of her self esteem, was able to bring out or show her different things that she never been probably been exposed to. And was like, hey, listen, hey, we can do this and we can live this sort of life where we can be free to do whatever we want and act how we want. And based on certain things that have come out in testimony, she was with the shits. But it wasn't just because of the money. I think that was the bonus in the life and the career that she could have had. But I also think she was able to be herself with him freely. Now, I think it got taken to another level. By that time, it was too late. But I think a lot of that he was able to pull at her mentally and bring her in and basically put her in the chokehold where um it now became too hard and she was too afraid to leave.
Yeah, there's clearly a huge factor in all of this is manipulation on his part. He certainly manipulated her. Um, and I think that, to your point, I do think he's a narcissist, and I think that he did it to control her. He and Eddie said this on one of the clips that I posted. I think it was yesterday. A lot of men like to control women, be it someone of high status like him, be it a regular Joe Schmo. Like, a lot of men like to control women. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to a quote high value, a high value man, I think that is even more so because they're used to being in control in all other areas of their life.
Right.
I've dated high value, as in financially high value, not necessarily everything else, men. And one of the reasons why I'm not living that life is because I was not going to be controlled. But they tried. And there was always a point where it was like, nah, something would, like, I would buck the system and it would be like, it would be done. Or I would be like, no. But almost every single financially high value man that I have dated or dealt with in any capacity wanted to control everything. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted you to be on their time always, it's like, okay, but I'm about to see you this ticket, get on the plane. What, I have a job, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that. And so that was one of the things that I found kind of like off-putting after a while. And yeah, like at first it's fun, at first it's exciting, but then you realize like you're basically at someone's beck and call. And it's like, nah, we're not doing that. So I think that aspect of control is something also that, the lifestyle gets dangled in front of you of what a person like that can do for you from a financial standpoint. And depending on what level they're at, I mean, they can do a lot. Some women get their whole life changed. They get upgraded, they get properties, and cars and things like that. Some women get bags and shoes, whatever. Like, there's levels, right? But those material things are often used to bait the women in the first place and then control the women. Because one thing I will say is, once you have been exposed to a certain type of lifestyle, it's hard to go back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, once you've gotten certain things, or you've seen certain things, or you experienced certain things, and then this over here is like not that, and then you
Once you go to first class, it's hard to go back to coach.
Okay, I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
I'm trying. Actually, no, because I'm sorry. The coach is the safest place on the plane, so I do not mind sitting in coach. Okay, I'm sorry. I know you little uppity business people like to be in first class with your little drinks and your little feet up, but if something happened on that plane, you gonna die. I'm sorry. And I'm gonna live, because I'm gonna be in the back. And I don't even do exit row like that. I'm in the back. Like, I done seen too many plane crash documentaries. Like, I'll be sitting in the back. But the point is, what? Just say it. But the point is, yeah, it's easy to get, and I can only imagine. I ain't date. No, I've never dated no billionaire. I've dated millionaires, but the billionaire, no. So
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
What's the likelihood of dating a fucking billionaire? I can count them on two hands. Like,
I know, I'm saying, like, I agree 100%. But that lifestyle, I can see how, especially as a young girl, you could get pulled back into it easily, even if you were having to deal with some things that you didn't necessarily want to deal with, or whatever the case may be. But I want to go back to something that we continue to talk about Cassie and Diddy, because I think there's a parallel here between, like, the true cost of dating a high value man and the situation between Cassie and Diddy. I'm sorry, I was just reading a comment. Danielle said the entertainment industry is the devil's playground. Diddy is just the tail of the snake. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think that these type of things happen a lot in the entertainment industry, unfortunately. But again, and it sucks, because I think social media kind of helps perpetuate it, almost like it creates a culture of trying to actively engage with these type of men. Even though, why you look at me like that? Jay, why you look at me like that? You disagree with that?
Yeah, but that's a very high level, like, comment. It's not
You
that
don't
simple.
think social media encourages women to prioritize or to value that, like, that high level financial status above, like, most other things? And they do it with that lifestyle. They do it with the cars, and they do it with the trips, the pictures of the trips and the videos of the experiences and the houses and all of that kind of stuff. You don't think that that's sending a message to women?
I think it's more about wanting to feel important in life, whatever that looks like. It just so happens the fad is rich and famous.
When has it been anything else?
When we didn't know that there was actually a world out there where it was accessible, or you could see it in your face.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree with you.
This too shall pass. The point of social media, it's inward. It's about making yourself feel important some way or another. It just so happens the way to do that right now is to show that you're rich. It could be something else tomorrow. It could be tomorrow could be find the best way to look poor while being rich, or like something dumb like that. It's 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 just a fad right now.
You think it's a trend?
Like, yeah, because again, social media is about promoting myself. I know I'm not rich, but how can I make myself look it? And why is that important to look rich? Because that's what gets likes. I'm on this trip. I'm in this spot. When we get to a point where that's not important, it's going to be something different. But as long as it's about me doing whatever is in fad, in vogue, that's what it's going to be.
But you yourself have said many times on the show that women focus on finances, right?
Yeah, we're looking for a partner.
Okay. So then if someone's on social media, or if men are on social media, whether they really got it or they don't, but they are portraying as though they have it, you don't think that is making women more wanting that lifestyle, or what they think they could have if they were with that man because of what he could do?
I think you're saying what I'm saying, right? If the closer I can get to that lifestyle, the better. So meaning I'm going to go after that man that has that lifestyle in real life, because I don't have it. Because again, that's what's in vogue. That's what's in style. Imagine telling a man who works a 9 to 5 he's broke because he can't take you to Bora Bora.
It happens all the time.
Right. The reason why that's happening is because it's what's in fad. It's what's real right now. That shit is not for real, for real. Just because I can't take you to Bora Bora, that doesn't mean I'm broke. But because that's what's in vogue right now, and that's the style, that's what's the fad, then whatever is going on to get people to look at me, I'm going to do that. And right now, that's looking and being and doing rich people shit.
Tiffany, you wanted to say something a couple of times, so I'm gonna hold my tongue to.
No, I was just thinking about. I know he said it's a fad, but I think it's always been a thing. We just see more pictures of it. I mean, if you think about the videos in hip hop, if you think about the lifestyle of the rich and famous before there was any
Tiffany,
social media, if you
think about 90s hip hop and think about those videos. They were not rich.
They were in tropical locations. They were in mansions. They were
not. 90s hip hop was not.
They were on planes.
90s hip hop was poor as fuck. Method Man's first song.
No, when you talking about that, we're talking about the Jay-Z.
Jay-Z was late 90s. And he didn't get it popping until the second album. Dead Presidents, that first album, Reasonable Doubt. Niggas.
MTV.
Tiffany, think about it for a second. He mentioned Cristal and Reasonable Doubt. Ain't none of you niggas know what the fuck Cristal was back then.
I definitely did.
But they found out because they was
nasty. It's gross.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying niggas wasn't popping Chris, but it wasn't when niggas like me and my friends went to the club. That wasn't the focus. When I met women, you didn't have to pop bottles. You didn't have to have a table for a woman to talk to you. You didn't have to have all these things to be in vogue.
I get what you're saying, but I think I have to agree with Tiffany. I don't feel like it's I don't think it's something that's going to go away. I would say that
it's definitely going to go away
because got up to that.
It can't. It's going to go away because it can't sustain itself.
When did bottle pirates? When did that start? I mean, bottle pirates.
Bottle what?
What is that? Is it like Bottle Wars?
No, bottle pirates. It's the girls that come in the club and they looking for the guys at the table who they're bottle pirates.
I didn't know there was a term for that.
I didn't either.
Yes.
I love it.
But anyway.
I'm not saying that that's probably always been around, Tiffany. What I'm saying is that it wasn't always the fact, like there was, you had the rich motherfuckers, the D-boys and all that, who came to the club, who the VIP room was for them. Because remember, VIP was only accessible, and it was a separate room in most clubs you went to. You know what I'm saying? Only the ballers was in that room. The rest of us was in gym pop. Well, not you, but the rest of us was in gym pop. You dig what I'm saying? And there were plenty of women in gym pop that we were able to get at, and it wasn't required that we had to have this, that. It just wasn't. It wasn't like that. Now it's the whole club. It's the whole spot. There is no separate room for VIP. It's because now the folks in VIP don't want to be secluded. They want to be seen.
I think
that's why when you walk into a spot, you're walking by the tables. You're seeing the tables that are being bought. The tables are now in the middle of the dance floor. Because why? We don't dance no more.
I agree with everything you're saying, but what I don't agree with is that it's a fad or a trend that's going to go away. I hope it does.
Will. You heard it here first. It will.
But I don't.
Because just like everything else, it'll go. It'll turn.
And I get your logic. It can't sustain itself.
But I feel like we've been escalating from the 80s to the 90s to 2025. It's been escalating, and now more people have visibility to look like they got it. And
at some point, there's going to be a time, or it's going to be a stance where, you know what? I'm tired of faking it.
I hope so. Maybe
it's going to happen, because what's happening right now is we're faking it so much that men and women are going separate ways.
And you think that's because of?
It's for many reasons, but this is one of them. This artificial, I need a man who makes $200,000. Fuck, what are you talking about? The fuck are you talking about? I'm convinced that the last two generations are not good at math.
Why you say that?
Because the fucking numbers don't support the fact that you think you're going to bump into a man and marry one who makes $200,000. It's mathematically not possible. It's just not. Okay. It's not. It's mathematically not possible. The number of women going after that guy and your chance of you winning the lottery, you might as well go play the actual lottery.
I don't disagree with you, and I think that, I mean, that is kind of segueing down another hole, but like, I think that a lot of women understand that it's not something that's going to be easy to do, that there's not just men walking around here, you know, everywhere you go with that level of money. But I don't see anything wrong with them pursuing that if that's what they want. I'm not going to budge on that.
I hear you. And I love that about you. You're so stubborn about not budging on what you want that you are willing to ride this shit off. And this is one of the reasons why there's going to be a bunch of fucking women growing old alone. And you're okay with that. And I'm cool.
There's going to be a bunch of men growing old alone too. So,
we don't
care though.
No,
we don't get mad at that.
Here's why. There's not. Because despite popular opinion, Carolyn, there are women that agree with the fuck I'm saying. Like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not growing alone. I want fucking, if I can't have a man make $200,000, let me figure out what the fuck I can do to make this shit happen. Or I'm going to help a man make $200,000. But I'd be damned if I sit around and thinking that, yo, This man that has this level of financial and he's 0.02% of the fucking population is just gonna happen to fall into my doorstep. Some of y'all don't even leave the fucking house, and you want a man that makes $200,000. That shit is wild to me. Y'all need a house once a month. Yo, yeah, I want. What the fuck are you talking about?
I agree with that to some extent, but I also, me and you always bump heads on that because I feel like you're basically saying women should settle, and I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you should settle, and that's what I'm saying. You keep translating to settles. If there's only one, if there's a whole pizza cut up into 12, and there's 12 of us, I'm not settling for one slice. That's what the fuck I just ended up with. That's not settling. That's reality.
Mm-hmm.
If there are 2,000 women going after one man, 1,999 of y'all are going to lose. That's not settling. That's the numbers. That is right. And what we're saying is that, hey, guess what? There are other men out there with strong character, all the characteristics that just don't have the money. Same guy, same dude, not exactly the same amount of money. But guess what? If you are who you say you are, you can help that man get to that level.
Agree.
So you're not settling. You're actually looking at the reality of things and saying, you know what? I'm not going to be in line like all these other women because there's a bunch of dudes waiting to be scooped up by a good woman. They may not make as much money, but they are solid fucking dudes. Like solid as they come. And can't, for whatever reason these days, can't get with a woman who just can appreciate them for who the fuck they are. But because they don't make a certain amount of money, they are discarded, called broke, or a non-provider. A bunch of stuff that we've redefined because, again, the fad. It's a fad.
And so maybe, wait, Tiffany, you were going to say something, and then I have a couple points.
I was just going to say, if we're talking about the real cost of dating a high value man, it is the scenario. If you got 1,000 women going after 1% of the men, what's the cost? You're going to get cheated on. They have options. You just got to deal with them having options.
Who, the women or the man?
All these different.
Women. Yeah, okay. I'm talking about the man.
I'm just saying. So, like, if everyone's going after this 1% of the population, yeah, you have costs that you're going to deal with, or they say, you can be expected to deal with these things because he's a high value man, and there's plenty of women out here that want him, et cetera, et cetera. So,
like the first to piggyback, say something slick to me. Do something that I don't want to happen. What? Fuck Beyonce, you're replaceable. Quit. I don't have to deal with your shit. And what does shit mean? This is where the control part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now I got you because I done made it clear you're replaceable. It's a line behind you. Imagine being a man's best. Like, because I think you said this in our chat one day. It's probably better for the man to love you more than you love him.
I've been told that by men.
Yeah. And there's a reason for that. Because now we're consistently fighting for your love, your attention, all the things. When I feel like I'm in control, or I know I got you, I'm not gonna say every man's like this, but
Eddie said it. He said most of y'all are like that. It's a control thing. But then
there's different levels of control. But if I know I got you, yeah, like all right, be act funny if you want. Don't, yeah, you're right. It is control. Yeah.
And that's the cost that comes with dating a high value man. And by high value, I'm just speaking of strictly financially, because a real high value man will not move the same way a high value man that's just high value because of his finances moves. So that's not even, we're not talking about that man. We're talking about the high value financial men, which most women or a lot of women are good with that. Like, they're good with that. A lot of women do stay in relationships and get cheated on because they're with someone who makes a lot of money or can provide a certain lifestyle. That is one of the costs of it. Now, are you willing to do that? Some women are and some women ain't. So that's something that you're going to have to know or consider. Just like Jay, you're 100% correct. If you're a high value man, you know that you have so many women that you can be with just on the basis that you have money. Even like, look at these men that have all this money that's already got 7, 8, 5 kids, 6 baby mamas. Like, you know what I'm saying? And women continue to get with them, continue to have kids with them. This nigga got 6 baby mamas and 8 kids, and you still fucking with them. Like, you're okay with that, paying that price, clearly, or you wouldn't be doing it. You know, and so
and I question women in that place. Like what type of woman are you? Like, for real? It's clearly, it ain't about him. It's a money grab.
But he's clearly low. He's not really high value. He just got a lot. He has money. Because and so y'all are equally yoked in that regard, because both of y'all are low vibrational. or whatever they call it.
Right.
Because if you're going to be in that situation, and it's no judgment if that's what you want to do, there's a lot of factors that play there. Because some women, they don't think that they can provide for themselves on the level that they would like to. It's certainly not on the level that a man with a lot of money can. And so therefore,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, so therefore they are going to accept that and whatever comes with it. It could be cheating. Sometimes it's getting abused. But women still stay, sadly, in abusive relationships. Emotionally abusive, physically abusive, whatever the case may be, a lot of women still stay. Because to your point, once a man does have that control because they're manipulating, then it makes it harder for women to get out of that. Especially if they are not gotten to a level where they understand and know their self-worth. And I say that because I've experienced that before. I was manipulated and controlled by somebody who didn't have no money. So that's how low I was. You know what I'm saying? So
it's not low. It doesn't, you don't necessarily have to have money to be able to mentally control somebody.
No, but what I'm saying is to be manipulated in a way to where you are continuing to stay in an environment because whatever it is that you're getting out of that environment is more important than your self-worth at the time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Eventually you decide it's not, and you get out of said environment. But it takes time. It just depends on the person or the woman.
You just literally described Cassie.
Right, right.
You literally just described her whole situation.
I think so. But what bothers me about that situation is how many men are dragging her for filth.
Because a lot of men are not going to understand. A lot of men don't understand the effects they actually have on a woman. We really don't. You would be surprised how subconsciously a group of men can be sitting around talking and a woman would be there with them and she never gets in a word. And none of the men would notice. How many times have either of you been in a situation where you've been around a group of men, they're all having a conversation, and they never even look to y'all or even ask for your opinion?
Say that one more time. Sorry, I was not focused. I was looking at the chat. My bad.
You are not the multitasker. Name a time. Has there ever been a time when you've been around a group of men and there was a conversation going on and they never even look to you to get in a word or ask you your opinion?
Like, has that ever happened to you? A group of men sitting with them, or I'm just in the area where they're in?
sitting,
Well, this
whatever.
be like sitting at a table with a group of men, and like I'm over there on the couch, and they're at the table having a discussion.
No, like literally, like you're in the conversation, but you're not.
Oh, okay. I'm sure it's happened. I'd have to think about it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
And that's and that's wild because it probably happens so often you don't even notice.
I don't know.
And men don't even notice it. I've been in conversations or in groups where I've actually I purposely didn't say anything to see if anybody was going to engage the woman standing with us. It's men treat women or they think they treat women a certain way and don't even know how bad we treat our female counterparts. There was a joke on the Cosby Show. It was a very interesting joke. I wish I could repeat it, but basically, what it ended up, the punchline was the doctor was a woman. None of the men, it never entered to their brain that a doctor could be a woman. Now, remember, the Cosby Show was the 80s, 90s, right? I don't know what it is, and I've been trying to understand or discover this or trying to dig deep. Why, I don't know if we're born like this with this misogyny or this whatever we want to call it, but it is very hard for men to really understand how we treat our female counterparts or the control that we have or how we disrespect them subconsciously.
That may be true, but I'm trying to understand what that has to do with men talking degradingly to Cassie, saying she's
because they feel as though Cassie is a grown-up and she knew what she was getting herself into.
Okay, but if I'm a man that's talking about a woman that if I could have sex with, I definitely would. But I am saying, but I'm also in the same breath talking about how ran through she is and how she would like what she was going through and whatnot. Like, make that make sense. Because you're doing all of that and you will still, if you could be one of those sex workers or men or whoever, you would.
Because we're looking at her like an object.
Right, which is
and
why
not only are we looking at her as an object, but we're also thinking or the feeling is that she's okay with this.
Right. And that's not good. Because that's
and what I'm saying is that a lot of men do not understand the fact that she didn't choose that life. She got manipulated into it.
100%.
Right. Most men aren't gonna understand it.
But okay, so then that's the thing that's also causing division, because when I, as a woman, I go online and I see 1,000 comments from men who are talking down on her about this whole situation, knowing that they wish they could breathe the air next to her if they could. Like,
it ain't even about breathing.
I have a problem with that.
It ain't even about breathing the air next to her. That's not even what it's about. It's not. It's not. Whatever. That's not what it's about. It's the fact that they feel as though as a woman, she's a grown up and she entered into this on her own. She knew what she was getting herself into. She knew what was going on and she never left. That is the attitude of men. She was getting her ass beat. Why the fuck didn't you leave?
Right. And what I'm saying is that is causing a disconnect. Like that.
Absolutely.
I don't like.
I'm not saying it isn't. What I'm telling you is that the thought process and where it comes from, and what I'm telling you is it's subconscious. What I'm telling you is that most men do not understand that men can manipulate women and control them in this aspect. Most men don't understand that. Why? Because most men can't even fathom doing it themselves.
So what do you say to the men who don't understand that? Because they need to fucking understand that shit. They need to understand that, because what you can't do is be on social media doing what you're doing. That's pissing a whole lot of women off.
If you can go on social media and say out loud that this is what you believe, there's nothing that I can say that's going to make you choose or feel any different at this ripe old age. I mean, I'm dead ass serious about that.
Okay, so let's just think about. I mean, not necessarily like do you have some advice? Like, how can men better understand?
I got a better one for you.
That
when a man tells you, "Hey, this dude is fucked up. Don't hang out with him." Don't go hang out with him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're saying that, like you said that, like
I'm saying that sometimes when we tell y'all shit, you go do what the fuck you want to do anyway.
Oh, guilty. And I don't got to be a man to tell me. It could be a woman, and I'll still just go. In the past, I have done what I wanted to do.
I've always said y'all have more power than you think. Y'all just don't believe that shit. I always say something simple. If you don't like men sagging their pants when they walking around, if you all went out and said and held down, if every woman got together and said, if you men don't pull up your fucking pants, you'll never have sex with us again, niggas would literally wear their pants up to their neck.
Yeah, if we withheld sex, we could get a lot of things done. But it ain't enough of us.
All y'all ain't gonna do that.
No, so I said it's not gonna be enough, is it?
It's not gonna happen.
I want to go. This is so because I want to bring it back to definitely the cost of dealing with a high value man. I want to talk about expectation. So we've talked about there's the lack of quality time aspect, and that's if you're dealing with a high value, whether he's just financially high value or if he's like a true high value man. He's not going to have the type of time that you might want. You have to understand that type of man is going to be busy often. So that's something that you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice is time. Second thing we said was if you're dealing with a high value man, more than likely your chances of getting cheated on or have increased exponentially if you're dealing with a financially high value man, because that man has options, a lot of options, and he can just kind of dip and dabble as he chooses to. Because if you decide to stop messing with him, there's going to be one more in your place just like that. Okay, so there's that. I think another thing is we talked about control, right? If you're dealing with a high value man, he is going to, in more cases than not, try to have some level of control over you. And Jay and Eddie have both confirmed that doesn't necessarily even have to be a high value man. That could be just any man. Okay. If they can have that level of control over you, but a high value man, I think, can do it to a greater level because he has the money to dangle, things with, so he has a little bit more tools in the shed to be able to control and manipulate. Another thing is, I think, is expectations. And something comes to mind when Tiffany was talking about, was it table pirates? Bottle pirates. I don't think I'm a bottle pirate, but I may have hung out with bottle pirates at some point in life. And so therefore
y'all all got one in the crew.
And so therefore I have been at said tables after they had been pirated. Okay. That came and that always came more times than not with a level of expectation. You going into these sections with these men, they trying to see who is fucking, period. Like that's what they own. And if you not, you might get kicked out the section. Been there, done that before.
Mike, you are getting kicked out the section, Mike.
We have gotten put out sections multiple times. Just like we've gotten brought into them multiple times. But so there is a level. So if you're dealing with financially high value men that don't have necessarily have the character to go with it, you're definitely going to also be under a level of expectation to do things that you may not want to do, or to do things at a faster rate, to do things how it kind of ties into control things. They kind of want things moving and done how they want them done. And if you don't, then you just going to get cut. You just going to get X'd, period. Because you was never, but then that is because you was never valuable to them anyway. You was always just an object. And that's the part that pisses me off about men. Because why are y'all looking at women like this at big ages that we are?
Stop it. Stop right there. I ain't gonna let you, I am not gonna let you sit up here and act like we didn't have not a whole 10, 15-minute discussion about how women are looking at men as a bank. And that is the fad happening right now. So let's not act like this shit ain't going both ways, okay? Let's don't do that. We're not doing that right now. We're not doing that.
Fine, whatever. Okay. B Cornet said in the comments, I feel Cassie bears some responsibility. It's not all on the man. Do we agree or disagree?
I think in any relationship, I'm sorry, Tiffany, go ahead.
Oh no, no, you go ahead.
In any relationship, no matter what, both parties always bear responsibility. Always. Now, is that responsibility equal? Negative. In this case, I would say it's 90%, 10% leaning towards Puffy here. Because again, and I ain't gonna even hold you. I'm gonna say some shit that I'm gonna get screamed on. Older men like younger women because they can manipulate their ass.
Mm-hmm.
They're much more easier to manipulate. You're not, I'm taking it back to Chris Rock. You're not manipulating Anita Baker. But it's gonna be much easier for you to manipulate Saweetie or whatever. Or Meg Thee Stallion or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just not happening. And so, like most men, we take the easiest way to get what we want. Cassie was a baby. This grown-ass man took advantage of a baby. And he molded her, because let's keep it a buck. I mean, like I said, I'm looking at the case. Cassie wasn't his only girlfriend. He had 2 other girlfriends, and then Kim Porter that he would spend vacations with, holidays with. Cassie never met the man's kids. Ever.
Do we think, okay, so do we think that there was a lack of in his ability to control a Kim Porter or one of the older women compared to Cassie?
When a man meets a woman, he knows what he can do. He knows what he's playing with.
You finna make me mad. You finna make me mad.
I'm keeping it a buck. I'm gonna tell you something. I used to say this back in my 20s. Men can sniff out self-esteem like a dog can sniff out fear.
And that's unfortunate because a lot of women get taken advantage of because of that. Because now you're intentionally trying to manipulate and control a situation to work in your favor. And you're still looking at a woman like an object and not like a woman. Like, I feel like if more men actually looked at women like what a woman truly is, like what a woman truly is and what she truly represents, that it would be much harder for them to objectify women, but I don't think they do.
My question to that is, though, did she look at herself as one? Because if you're looking at yourself as more than an object, you're not going to let yourself be treated as one.
And let's not let's not play these games. Plenty of women look at men as objects too, aka bank accounts. Listen, whether you like it or not, men are following women's lead on a lot of things. Y'all set the tone.
Women, in a serious relationship, you're gonna have, like, they're gonna be these things. Like, if you maybe I don't want to meet your kids in 3 months, but like if this is a real significant relationship, 6-9 months, like there comes a point in time that's appropriate when you're in a real relationship.
9-10 years, you never met the man's kids? Or we never spent holidays together because you with the kids and Kim Porter? Fuck out of here. Again, everybody, there is some blame to go around. But your position was solidified after the first year or two. You should know what the fuck this shit is. And again, I don't condone the beatings. I don't condone the control. But to Tiffany's point, if you know who you are as a woman, and you know what you want, and you are secure and willing to walk away from something, even if you know it could change your life, but you know this is the cost of it, and you're willing to walk away, a man will recognize that and know you're not to be played with. You're not.
I think
you're not.
that I agree. I just think that a lot of whether or not you are a woman like that or not depends on kind of like what you've gone, like how you were raised, like what trauma you've experienced growing up and things like that. Because a lot of women don't, and I'll just use myself as an example. Like I am just now starting to really understand my value and my worth within the last few years that I've been in therapy.
So do you take blame? So are you going to take blame in your part in the relationships and their failure and how these men treated you?
Absolutely.
Question.
It disgusts me and it pisses me off that I allowed myself to be treated in such a way, but I do have to take responsibility for it.
Right.
Absolutely. I have to hold myself accountable.
And these men, and that's what the men are saying.
Yeah. It still saddens me though, because I, like Cassie, was manipulated and experienced trauma at a young age. Sometimes you don't know, and this is what you've experienced, and so now that like opens the gateway for you to allow other people to come in and manipulate and misuse and abuse you in whatever way. And then you go through all these things, and it takes however long it takes for you to pull yourself out of it. By the grace of God, hopefully you're able to do that. But it just saddens me to know that Cassie is just one of many.
And that's why the men, and this is what the men are saying, and this again, the reason why they're like she bears responsibility is because you have to know, we're feeling is that you have to know who you are or what you're not. The problem is that as a human being, you sometimes don't know who you are and what you're not. Like you just said, you had no idea until you've been in first class. You don't know what first class feels like until you looked at yourself and said, you know what, there's a fucking problem with me. I need to fix it. Because the common denominator in all your failures in relationships is going to be you. And until we come to the point where we can start looking at ourselves and saying, you know what, I'm the problem, it's going to be hard for you to bear it. It's going to be hard for you. You're going to end up like Cassie, and then it's not going to be till later on you're going to find out I bear some responsibility to how I got to this point in the first place. But subconsciously, you don't know, because it's hard for us to step out of ourselves and be like, yo, am I really this? And you heard me say this. I have a problem. It's a fine line to looking at yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, I'm a 10. Because now you're saying you have no flaws. Nah, baby, we all got flaws. Are you willing to live with that? And if you can identify your flaws, you're now able to be like, you know what? Maybe this is why I'm getting to the shit that I'm getting into. Now I need to fix them. It doesn't make you not think less of yourself. It keeps you true to yourself.
I like that. Once you get there, yeah.
Once you get there, you're still beautiful inside. But you have to be able to be like, you know what? Like I tell people all the time, man, I ain't the best looking dude in the world. I think I present well. And I'm okay if a woman like, you know, you don't look good to me. Oh, no doubt. Because I know I'm a great person. Right? And I think that's what makes me attractive. Just being solid. And then substantially attractive. Okay, I can live with that. Now, there are people out there that may think differently about how I look, but I know at least there's a baseline for me, and I'm okay with that. And so we talk about punching within our weight class. Because then when you go after that high value man, and if you're high value yourself, you can't be played with. And he's going to look at you like, oh, I done met my match. You think about every high value man and look at his counterpart. Shorty's solid. She's fucking dope.
A true high value man, yes.
But she's high value in her own right.
Right. But they're the true high value men and they're the financially high value men, and that's a different type of man.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. And what I'm saying is I'm talking about the ones, I guess to your point, the ones who are good with themselves. And when they look at their partner, wow. Obama. And I'm talking about pre-President Obama. President Obama. You look at Michelle, fuck out of here.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Shorty, she is as thorough as they come. Had that, he is the president of the United States and had to be at dinner every night at 6 p.m.
Clock it.
Come on, man. Come on. He ain't want that smoke. This the president. This the president. He's the boss. This man is answering to somebody.
But that's the value that she has always brought to their relationship.
What I'm saying.
Marriage
That's what I'm saying. It's possible.
Yeah.
Be you. Be the best version of you. Be the best version of you. Be that. Because if you that chick, that man is gonna fall in place. He gonna fall. The president of the United States had to be at dinner by 6 o'clock. It was hell to pay. This motherfucker had Russia up his neck. Everybody wanted to kill this motherfucker. You know who he was scared of? Come on, man. Let's talk about it. This man was scared of Michelle. I got missiles pointed at me. I got people writing me in America trying to kill me every day. I ain't worried about them. My ass got to be at dinner at about 6 o'clock.
I think that's a great way to end things.
Come on, man.
To wrap us up, we have a few minutes left. So, Tiffany, final thoughts?
Figure out if you're dealing with high value or high income earner.
You stole mine. Okay.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
I agree. I mean, that's definitely what I was going to say. That's important. Now, if you feel like you're okay with high income earner, high value, then just know there's going to be a cost to pay with that. And not all of it's going to be pretty. But if them Chanel bags is worth it, then baby, do you. Okay.
But are you looking for a relationship or are you looking for a sponsorship?
A lot of women are looking for sponsorship.
Say it again for the holes in the back.
Are you looking for a relationship or are you looking for a sponsorship?
That's going to be the caption of one of these clips from this video. I love it. I love it. I really enjoyed this conversation because we were able to take it and kind of look at a bunch of different elements of not just from dating someone that's high value, whether it be like a true high value man and what that looks like, and how you can, as a woman, view yourself and put yourself in a position to attract that caliber type of man, which be the things you want to see in other people. Like that's just really, if you want a man with integrity, have integrity yourself. You want a man who's honest, be honest yourself, right? And then we also looked at it from a standpoint of what it looks like, you know, if you are looking for a sponsorship, that's your business. None of us here recommend that. But if that's what you want to do, just understand that there's going to be a price to pay with that as well. And just really search within yourself and say, am I willing to pay that price? Am I willing to pay that price? Or would I prefer to have something real with someone who is in alignment with myself and the things that I'm in alignment with? I think if we're honest with ourselves, most of us would choose the latter. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate you guys coming out and joining us tonight. I know the game's on, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. And then I'm going to pass it to Jay to wrap us up.
Value is an interesting word, right? In today's society, there are many things that we're looking at what value is, or we redefine it for ourselves what we value, right? We defined a high value man earlier, all the things outside of finance, right? Integrity, ambition, respect, compassionate, passionate, driven, all respectful, integrity, honest, all the things, right? These are things that I know these are things that I value, right? But those may not be things that another person may value, right? And so when we look at what's valued, you're going to take those things and then apply it right now. And we described it earlier. Right now, what's being valued is money, because we want to do all the things that we weren't able to do, or what's in fad, right? Because we're looking at ourselves, and in selfish society, we want to be liked, we want to be that person, we want to be seen, right? And I value any man that can help me be seen. Right? He's taking me on trips, right? Now you on this trip and you showing off your room, you showing off your views, you showing off everything but the nigga who took you there.
Come on, Pastor Jay.
Right? What we value is going to be based on our values personally. And what you value is what you're going to attract. And so don't be mad or upset when your values are hollow and you get this shallow, hollow man. And vice versa. Same thing goes for men. Right? Again, I take a look at, I'm not even talking about President Obama. I'm talking about Senator or prior. This man went after somebody and pursued somebody who was high value, who was willing to, who he knew was going to check him and keep him in check. He went for that because he knew the value that he had for himself, and she matched it and became president with a great woman by his side. I don't use them very often, but I found their relationship fascinating because they didn't have to be together. She didn't have to choose him, because women choose boyfriends, men choose wives. And she chose him, and then he chose her. They chose each other because of the values that they had within. So when we talk about high value, whatever, it's really based on what you value, and that's what you're going to go for, and that's what you're going to get. And just so happens, in this world that we live in, the value is placed on finances because we want to be seen doing all the things. And I promise you, at some point, it's going to get boring. It's going to get trite. It's going to get overused. It's going to get stale. And we're going to get back to the basics, where the things that we described at the beginning of this conversation of what what should be valued, what we value, is going to come back in fad. It's going to come back in session. Going to come back and roll around, and hopefully we can get back to a place where, you know what, it doesn't always have to be about me. It could be about us, and that's what I value the most. So with that said, Tiffany, always a pleasure. My co-host coming up with these great topics every week. Carolyn, appreciate you. All my Tiffany who chimed in, who gonna listen now or later on, you know we love you and appreciate you. Come back in 2 weeks. What's that? The
6th,
the 9th,
the 3rd,
the
something
10th.
like that. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? You know, we'll be back in about 2 weeks with a new topic. What's gonna be the topic?
Interracial relationships. Yeah.
It's gonna be what?
Interracial relationships.
Oh, interracial relationships.
And why we're seeing so many more of those.
June 10th, interracial relationships. We gonna get spicy.
We're a little spicy with this one, I'm sure. I have some guests coming on.
We're gonna get real spicy June 10th. So yeah, listen, enjoy y'all Memorial Day weekend. Y'all be safe out in these streets. Be careful. Love one another. Treat one another right. And you know what? We out of here. Holla.
Hey.